We are live on the Bullpen Podcast. Welcome back in, Mr. Adam Kunos from the depths of Hurricane Ian. Glad to see everything is okay with you and most of Florida. I'm your host, Chris Krogman at Shy Bears 1985. Like I said, welcome in my co-host Adam Kunos at Kunos19, and this is the Bullpen Podcast at the Bullpen Pod on Twitter. We're sponsored by Fanatics. Head on over to Fanatics for all of your 2022 MLB Postseason gear. Follow us on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook. Like, subscribe. All that fun shit. You know what to do. You listen to podcasts. You've been told a billion times. So for some reason, people say it every single time. So now I think anybody that starts a podcast is now obligated to say all that shit. So
I think it's an unwritten contract that you have to sign, that you have to say that you're live every single time.
I signed the contract. Blood. I said
Blood.
So, Adam, good to see you, man. Like I said, glad that you made it through Ian okay. How are you, friend?
Good, and thank you very much to you and everyone who did reach out to check on myself and my family. We are fine down here. Central Florida did take some hurricane damage. A lot of Central Florida did experience flooding, but obviously not as bad as the Fort Myers, Tampa, Clearwater area. That area just got pummeled by Ian. We did tweet this out on our page, but if you are able to, please donate to hurricane relief, not only for Florida, but for South Carolina, for Puerto Rico, as they're still cleaning up from Hurricane Fiona, who hit a couple weeks before Ian did. We will get some links tweeted on our Twitter page if you want to donate to the hurricane relief efforts in all three areas. Any little thing can help. We do have a lot of communities that were devastated who are still without water, electricity, basic necessities. So please help if you are able to. And again, we'll get those links tweeted out on our Twitter page here momentarily. But I am good. The house is good. The family's good. We took a little vacation to Disney. We took the cats to Disney World, and they pretty much hid under the bed every time just because they were in a location they were not familiar with. But we actually got back home over the weekend, did some cleanup, but we are back up and running. And Florida is back up and running as well.
Yeah, awesome. Good to hear. And yeah, we're back. So let's get into it. If you can donate, like you said, Adam, please do. Red Cross is always a good one to donate to. I'm in the hotel industry, so I work with a lot of disaster relief companies. It was hard to find hotels for a lot of the, disaster relief companies that head to these areas that do this work, even the volunteer groups. Lots of hotels flooded, shut down, not even answering, phones or anything like that, even if they were up and running. So it was tough just trying to get support out there to Florida. So anything you can do to donate would be awesome. But we have wrapped up the Major League Baseball season, 162 games finishing up this evening. Everybody's ticket is punched. That's going to be punched. Is that correct, Adam? Or can we still have some last minute drama?
No, playoff seeding is set. It was actually set yesterday. So today was just kind of a way to
waste everybody's time.
Waste everyone's time, play rookies who haven't gotten a chance to play. If veterans were playing the last game, they play a couple of innings and then they get pulled to end their career. So everything wrapped up yesterday, and today was just kind of if you're a playoff team, a warm-up game for the postseason, which will begin on Friday. So you want to dive into just a reminder, Chris, of who is clinched in each league?
Absolutely. Let's go with, I'm going to do the seedings so that we have that up because I had that up. So in the American League, 6 seed, third wild card spot goes to the Tampa Bay Rays. The fifth seed in the American League goes to the second wild card. That is the Seattle Mariners. The 4 seed is the first wild card, Toronto Blue Jays. And then the third seed, so the lowest division winner, is the Cleveland Guardians. All punched their ticket. And then, of course, the Yankees and Astros round out the top two. They have the bye weeks or bye schedule. I don't know. I don't really kind of call it a week.
A weekend off. It's pretty much a weekend off for them.
Rest time for them.
Yeah.
So, over on the National League, somehow the Phillies got in and the Brewers blew it. So the Phillies got the 6th seed. They play the 3rd seed St. Louis Cardinals. The New York Mets also blew it in September and lost their division, but were 101 game winners. So second year in a row, we've had 2 teams in a division win over 100 games. Last year was the Dodgers and Giants. This year is the Mets and Braves. Mets will play the 5th seed San Diego Padres. And then your top 2 seeds are the Braves, number 2, and the Dodgers, number 1. They will get the weekend off. And that's your playoffs for 2022. Adam, what let's just talk about these. So the Guardians, that was their first division title since 2018. The New York Yankees have been to the postseason 6 straight times, along with the Astros, who are also making their 6th straight appearance. Blue Jays have had 2 postseason appearances in the last 3 seasons. Last year they fell a little bit short, but we were pulling for them here on the Bullpen Podcast. At least I was. Seattle, first postseason appearance since 2001. We talked about this almost all year long. Adam, I think, called that from the very beginning of the season. Did not look good in April, May, but they surely pulled it together. Julio Rodriguez had a phenomenal season, 25 home runs, 25 steals, banging rookie out there in Seattle. Tampa Bay Rays are making their 4th straight postseason appearance. Adam, what series in the American League are you most looking forward to? That's coming up, the Guardians and Rays, or the Mariners and Jays?
I'm actually going with the Guardians and Rays for a couple reasons. Obviously, my wife is a Rays fan, so in this household, we will be pulling for the Rays in the postseason. However, we do have some good friends who we play softball with who are Guardians fans, so we actually have a group chat going, and it's going to be fun.
What's the bet, buddy? What's the bet?
I don't think we're betting family, but
shotgun beer, dude. Shotgun beer or something, like you got to bet something. I mean, it doesn't have to be monetary.
I'll throw it in the group chat. Maybe the winning team gets dinner from the losing team, or something like that.
There you go. Give you a reason to all go out.
There you go. So we will be pulling for the Rays in this household. Obviously, they'll be pulling for the Guardians. I am, though. The closer is the Mariners Blue Jays, just because the Mariners are in there for the first time in 21 years. I mean, 2 decades worth of no playoff baseball in Seattle. How crazy is that? They went through so much rebuilding in that franchise over 2 decades just to finally get back to a postseason appearance. I mean, they had Ichiro, A-Rod, Randy Johnson, and I mean, I'm trying to think of players who've been with that franchise who left right before the drought started.
Jay Buhner?
Jay Buhner, yeah. I mean,
he was probably
the last one. Yeah. But, I mean, good for the franchise. And like you said, did not look good for them at the start of the season with that slow start they got off. Everyone thought, like, okay, the Mariners can be that real deal going forward. But they pulled together, and they end up with the second wild card, and they are partying for an October baseball. They will be traveling to Canada, Toronto, to face the Blue Jays, who are actually playing their first postseason in Canada since 2016. I believe that was the last time the Blue Jays had postseason baseball was in 2016, 2015, with Jose Bautista with that little bat flip that he had against the Rangers in 2015 where he just threw the bat as soon as he hit that home run. So, I mean, we got two great AL wildcard matchups in the American League, and it's going to be a fun series. And here's a fun fact. All these games are going to be back to back to back. So you have potentially 3 straight days of wild card baseball. It's going to be a best of 3. So first of 2 wins clinches the series. So it's going to be fun baseball starting on Friday.
King Felix never got in the playoffs. That sucks.
I know that's one thing. Like King, he never got into the playoffs. Ichiro got into the playoffs his rookie year only with the Mariners, but he never got back to the playoffs with that team. Junior obviously got to the playoffs in 95 and 97 with the team, but never got back with them. This fun fact, his last postseason appearance, Griffey, was with the White Sox in 08 before he retired.
It's not a fun fact. It's a White Sox fun fact.
It is a White Sox fun fact, but it's also a good trivia fact if you want to stump somebody
like
for
the
money.
most random teams have Hall of Fame players that you don't like never ever suspect. Oh, you remember that time Griffey played for the White Sox? No.
It's like no one's gonna remember Ichiro for his time in New York or Miami. Instantly it's gonna be thrown back to Seattle. He is
only
a Seattle.
You, dude. Only you, Adam.
It's
Do you collect baseball cards and just have like the last year of a player's career is baseball cards?
I used to collect baseball cards.
Remember when the dude was on the Orioles?
As a kid, I did collect baseball cards. I had over 3,000 at one point as a kid, but I trimmed it down just to like a couple of good collector cards that I still have.
I don't know where the hell mine are. They're in my mom's house somewhere. The card to have when I was a kid was the 89 Griffey Upper Deck rookie card.
Yeah, I think I have that card. If not, I have a rookie Randy Johnson card when he was with the Expos.
I think I have like all but that Upper Deck card of Griffey. That was my dude. So I have, I think, like a Flair card, a Topps card, but who knows?
Who knows indeed.
I bought a lot of good baseball cards though. I used to go every week to the baseball card show. Like I can't even remember. Like I can't even believe that was a thing. And they might
card shows, card
shops. You know, like baseball card shops. I mean, they're probably here and there, but there was a couple within like a few miles in the small town that I lived in, which it just blows my mind that it was that much of a hobby. And then it kind of got saturated and. You know, there was way too many cards, and like the value just sucked. And nowadays, people are collecting NFTs, which are.
I don't get NFTs. That's just. But again, I am not into the hip tech.
Buy a monkey, apparently, is what it is. By buying a monkey that looks funny.
I have 3 cats. They act like monkeys all the time. That's problem solved.
That's good enough for you.
That's good enough for me.
Your next feline torture is your NFT. All right, onward. So over in the National League, a little bit of deep dive on the National League team. St. Louis, this is their 4th postseason appearance. Was this in a row, Adam?
I had to actually do some digging because they went they did go, let's see if I remember correctly, 19, 20, 20. Yeah, since 2019, they have been in the playoffs.
Fancy. The Atlanta Barfs are 5th straight NL East title. Dude, and they're just
I don't get the Braves
they're paying
because
slave wages to these kids, dude. Or like, you know, Chinese like Nike type freaking wages to these children that are playing amazing for them.
All I get with the Braves is just since last year, since they went on that run at the end of the season, just to kind of come back from the Phillies to get that East title, they have just been.
You know what they don't have? Like the long term, where they can't hold up long term, is they don't have the pitching to hold up long term.
No, they have good short term pitching, good pitching just for like 1-2 seasons. Nothing to last them for like 5 years down the road.
Like Strider's going to be good, but I mean, you assume he's going to be good. He's been fantastic, and Fried and Wright are both good, but how long can they last? Are they top of the line? You know, Cy Young candidates year in and year out. Kyle Wright obviously has had a phenomenal season, winning 20 games, but Max Fried is just simply insane. So we'll see if they have that long term. And then their bullpen has been a yearly turnover. And they've got some good pieces this year, adding Iglesias and then having Kinsley. His windup makes me want to barf. Jansen's windup, I hate it. Anyway, so the Barfs win their 5th straight NL East title. The Los Angeles Dodgers 10 straight postseason appearances is fantastic. The New York Metropolitans finally get into the postseason since 2016. That is a 6-year drought. That's okay though. It's not going to be. This is going to be like a long run. We're going to see. The Padres second postseason appearance in the last 3 seasons, and then the Phillies get their first postseason appearance since 2011. So good for the Philadelphia Phillies. Yeah. So the series lineup one more time is the Phillies play the Cardinals, the Padres play the Mets. Pitching matchups wise, Padres Mets is phenomenal. You got Darvish versus Scherzer on Friday. They're gonna try allegedly to keep DeGrom off the hill, so they're gonna throw Bassett in game 2.
Ooh.
So they want to get obviously you want to get the sweep no matter what, but if they can get the sweep, then they don't have to pitch Jake until game 1 against the Dodgers if they get there. Phillies, Cardinals, I haven't seen the actual breakdown yet, but I'm sure we can find it. Wheeler, game 1, Nola, game 2, Suarez, game 3 is probably what it's going to be. Anyway, we'll dig into it later. But Adam, as far as the National League Series, which one are you looking forward to the most?
Give me the Mets Padres series because I think those are 2 teams who. I'll start with the Mets. The Mets were obviously kind of your favorites to win the NL East. They looked like they had this division kind of in their hands early in the season. Obviously, the Braves caught them. They were just trading back and forth. But that last series really hurt the Mets, in my opinion. Just getting swept by Atlanta was obviously not ideal. Padres, I think they have a lot to prove this postseason, especially after last year, after their little collapse at the end of the year and not getting into the playoffs. So I think they have a little more to prove in the postseason. And they're doing it without Tatis Jr. Again, he's out for this season. He's going to be out for a good chunk of next year as well. But luckily they will get him back sooner than later because that suspension does key in with playoff games. So the more playoff games they can play, the earlier they'll get him back in 2023. So give me Mets Padres as a more intriguing wildcard series. That's the one I'll be kind of following a little more. Cardinals Phillies, that's going to be a good matchup. You got Pujols and Molina back in the playoffs, obviously with Wainwright. So they're getting one final run for Pujols in the playoffs, see how far they can get him. Again, like the American League, 2 solid wildcard matchups, but I'm leaning more Padres Mets in the series I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, I agree. Obviously, being a Mets fan, it's but I think the Padres, like you said, have something to prove, and they're a dangerous team. They have good pitching and good players. The Tatis thing kind of probably ruined their long shot chances for the playoffs, but we'll see how it goes. We'll see how they match up with the Mets and if they can make it happen. As far as wrapping up the regular season, we had some teams out there that we thought might have been good at the beginning of the year, might have won divisions. We had division teams picked to be division winners, specifically the White Sox and Brewers that underperformed. Also add the Red Sox and Giants. Adam, why don't you give us a little deeper dive into some of these?
All right. I'm obviously going to start with the one that's a little more painful, and that is the White Sox. flashback to last year, they finished 93-69. They had a plus 160 run differential. This year did not go that way. At one point, they were either 5 games under 500 or 5 games over 500. Never got above the 5 games mark, going above 500. They got their asses kicked today by Minnesota, 10-1. Finished 81-81 with a negative 31 run differential. And the thing that just kind of gets worse, Tony La Russa, who went out on medical leave from his management duties back in August, will not return as White Sox manager next year. He is done as the White Sox manager. So now the White Sox are looking for a managerial candidate starting for 2023. Names that I've been hearing out for who can fill that vacancy, obviously Miguel Cairo, who filled in as the interim manager. I've heard Jim Thome, Bruce Bochy, Willie Harris, AJ Przinsky, kind of bring back some former White Sox to fill. So the White Sox are going to be looking for a new manager. But this year, I think they're the top team that really underperformed, especially with that lineup, all the injuries that they had. It's just, it was, and you go on Sox Twitter and you can just see the hate from Sox fans right now and just how this team performed this year. It was not what they were expecting. They were obviously thinking an easy division title, potentially getting to the league championship series and getting past the division series, but now they're going to look to 2023 and they got a lot of questions going into the offseason.
Yeah, those are some interesting names thrown out there to replace La Russa, and God help Tony La Russa. Hopefully he's okay health wise. I mean, we talked about it at the beginning of the year on if he was still the best coach for that team. So while it might not be for the best reasons, perhaps it's a blessing in disguise. Yeah, definitely some interesting names that we can keep an eye on going forward. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens there. As far as some of the other teams that underperformed, Adam, what do you got?
So let's go with the Boston Red Sox. Last year they finished 92-70 with a plus 80 run differential. They obviously clinched the wild card spot. They hosted the wild card and beat the Yankees. They actually went to the league championship series. They finished with a 78-84 record, a negative 52 run differential. Definitely an underperforming team. They got off to a really slow start, kind of bounced back, kind of caught some fire during the middle of the season, but obviously just collapsed and never really got above. They finished behind Baltimore, so they finished in the cellar of the AL East. And speaking of Baltimore finished 83-79, so Baltimore clinched their first winning season, I believe, in 8 years. I think 2016 was their last winning season, so good for Baltimore for finishing above 500 this year. They kind of played higher than expectations. Flipping over to the National League, the San Francisco Giants, 107-55 last year. They finished with a plus 210 run differential. They pretty much challenged the Dodgers and beat them for the NL West. They met in the division series with the Dodgers obviously winning that series. Flash forward to this season, they finished with an 81-81 record with only a plus 19 run differential. So they finished third in the NL West. And then the Brewers finished 95-67 last year with a plus 115 run differential. Brewers had a good season, 86-76, only a 37 plus run differential, but they made a late charge towards the NL wild card, couldn't quite get over the Phillies, who clinched the last wild card. So the Brewers were out of the playoffs this year, and those are my 4 teams who I think really underperformed, who I thought would be playoff contenders, would be in the playoffs this year. Again, all these teams made the playoffs last year, were in the division series last year, and they're now out. Some are looking for managerial changes. Some will probably be letting go of some superstars over the offseason. So all 4 teams that we just listed have a lot of questions going into the offseason.
Yeah, I think some definitely having some questions. Some of the teams, 2 of the teams that I think underperformed were Detroit, who had like a 77 projected win total at the beginning of the year, finished 66 and 96. And then Texas, who went out and spent a whole bunch of money and probably had like a 73 to 75 projected win total and only finished 68 and 94. So lots of underperforming teams this year. But when you have teams like Cleveland who overperform, teams like Minnesota who probably overperformed, well, 78 wins still only for Minnesota, but Baltimore overperformed. Uh, the Angels, man,
Yeah,
the Angels had a really up and down season.
yeah, they were good to start the season. Then they obviously 13 losses in a row. Joe Mann gets fired. They finished 33 games behind the Astros. Jesus. Yeah, I'm just looking through the standings right now. Oakland 60 and 102. We knew they weren't going to be good this year because they pretty much traded away every player they had. National League, Miami 69 wins. They were expected win-loss total was 70 and 92, so they kind of played to their expectations this year. Washington clinched the worst record in Major League Baseball with a 55 and 107 record. Cubs kind of played a little better this year. They finished 74 and 88.
They won I saw something today. They won 12 of their last 15 games.
Yeah, the Cubs finished 8 and 2 in their last 10. Yeah, so you got a couple teams that did overperform, so they got a good upswing going into the offseason. So we'll wait till after the World Series to see how teams go into free agency, who kind of goes into a rebuild mode, who kind of goes all in and spending. Especially with the new CBA going into a fresh offseason, it's probably going to look a little different. We'll probably still see teams spending more money in the offseason as it increases every year. But again, that's coming after the playoffs. We got the playoffs to look forward to first.
That's
good.
So I was just looking through the standings, talking about underperforming teams, and a little bit over. I would say the Mets and Braves both winning over 100 games was unexpected. I think 90, 95 wins out of both of those teams was pretty much the peak of what people thought. I think the Yankees, for as hot as they started, not breaking 100 wins is pretty crazy with 99 wins. Toronto coming in second at 92 wins. I'm just going to talk about the 90 win teams. Cleveland winning 92 is pretty impressive. Houston with 106 wins. Seattle 90 wins. St. Louis with 93, and then the Dodgers to lead everybody with 111 wins is crazy. What's our 114 is the record, right? Yankees
116. The 1906 Cubs and the 2001 Mariners hold the record.
That's right.
For 116. Right. Actually, the Dodgers had an expected win-loss total of 116.46, so they were expected to get close to the record. 6 games short of breaking it. That's not terrible.
That's 5, but that's okay.
Yeah, I don't do math good.
I don't do math good.
Exactly.
I don't speak good English.
That too.
Hey, you're going to get a degree out of this, though. That's the best thing. C's
yes,
get
I
degrees.
Am. Yes, I am.
Say. I'm just fucking with you, man. Are the Dodgers the best team in baseball with 111 wins?
On paper, by standings, yes. I don't think on the field they're the best team. Am I going by league or by the whole?
The whole world.
Whole. I hate to say this. I think the Astros are better.
No way.
I wouldn't be surprised if we see these teams match up again where the Astros kind of...
Dodgers aren't going to make it past their first series. I don't care if it's the Padres or the Mets, dude. The Dodgers are going to collapse. They're going to take this time off. They're going to chill out in Chavez Ravine and just drink some beers and not be ready. Trevor Bauer's going to come back and just... I'm kidding, Dodgers fans. We love you. I think the Dodgers are probably the best team in baseball. They had some interesting slumps against some pretty shitty teams. Like they could beat the Pirates for whatever reason this year. But you saw the Astros slump as well, probably more due to injuries than anything. Um, let's look at above 500 record was 42-27 for Houston, 50-27 for the Dodgers. Obviously, they played more games against teams over 500 by 8, so that makes up the difference, and they won all of them. Yeah, those two teams winning the most amount of games out of everybody. Atlanta and damn man, right now Atlanta might be the best team in baseball. I mean, they're going to be a tough out for anybody with that young offense. If their offense slumps like it did in mid-September, they're going to be in trouble. But it's ridiculous. Acuna and Olsen. Austin Riley, and then you got the youngsters Harris and everybody else. It's just they're going to be a really tough out. So hopefully, we see good baseball all throughout the playoffs. I'm going to root for my squad, but I'll try to be as non-judgmental as possible. And speaking of the judgmental, we got the Judge. All rise, hit 62 home runs this past October 4th, so yesterday, broke the Yankees season record, the American League home run record. Thoughts on the Aaron Judge 62nd home run, Adam?
I mean, good for him to do it. I mean, it got a little close towards the end because I think he got to 60, 3 weeks ago, and then he kind of went on this little home run drought.
Felt the pressure. Pressure.
I mean, good for him from doing it, especially the career he's had. I think this is a good milestone for him just to get the record. And I kind of wish he did it in front of Yankee fans, but to do it in front of a packed house in Texas is still pretty cool. I just read an article that the fan who caught home run number 62 doesn't know what to do with it. He doesn't know if he's going to sell it, give it back, and he's probably going to take a couple weeks. But that ball is definitely worth.
Just give it back. Do you know who the guy is? Have you heard? So like everybody else talked about like what's the ball worth, right? So what do you put in that ball value at first, Adam?
Like dollar value? Oh god, that has to be worth like a couple $100 million right there.
A couple $100 million? Yeah, no. How much Aaron Judge is going to get paid?
How much you putting that ball at? How much you putting that ball at?
So he's turned down $2 million already.
Oh shit.
So it's probably caps for me at like $5 million. Like It's a single baseball. But there's more to like the guy that caught it, which is it's kind of shitty because it's not just some guy, that caught it. The guy is like the CEO at Fisher Investments, doesn't need the money, is worth millions of dollars already. So he doesn't know what he's going to do with it. He should just give it back to Judge and let him
at this point, give it back. Maybe get a jersey or something out of the deal.
Get season tickets or whatever, dude. Like
something like an autographed bat or something because I know the guy that caught 60 in New York, I think got like a autographed bat or something from Judge because he gave the ball back. So Judge did get number 60.
I'm pretty sure he got season tickets, a jersey, and a bat.
Yeah, I think he got a couple things from the Yankees because he gave the ball back, and I think as soon as because it was a college student, I think who made the last minute choice to go to the game, and ended up catching it, and he knew that he was going, and he knew if he caught it, he was going to give it back because that's something that he said that he wanted Judge to have. That's his, not his, even though he caught it.
It's his, not his.
Yeah.
So the guy that dropped 61 though, that was
ouch.
It hit him in the glove. And then he hit his friend with the glove, like threw the glove at his buddy. His buddy's like, "Oh, bro." That was pretty funny. So,
but congrats to Judge on 62.
Story to follow. What happens with that ball? So yeah, Albert Pujols. I mean, not Albert Pujols. We're gonna talk about Pujols in a minute. Aaron Judge breaks the Yankees single season record. His mom and dad were there for it, so that's pretty awesome. Albert Pujols, who we talked about in late August, I had no presumptions of him hitting freaking 15 home runs since we talked about that. On the last Wednesday in August, he had like 5 or 6 weeks to hit. I think 12. It was like 12 at the time. And he just went on an absolute tear. And what is he at? 703 home runs now. Hit over 20 home runs this year. He listen, man. I don't want to. He's got to be on something. I mean, he's 45 years old or whatever by alleged birth certificate, and he's just now having a just absolute monster. It's suspect, Adam. It's suspect.
It's sus.
Super sus. But the guys on the that are over 700 with him, Barry Bonds and well, that's it. Yeah, because Aaron and Ruth ain't getting challenged for being on steroids. But yeah, so fourth guy to hit 700 home runs. Congrats to Albert. What do you have to say on the matter, Adam?
I mean, when he hit 700, we were kind of in. I believe we were in the middle of either hurricane prep or the hurricane was going through, so it's really hard to keep track of when he hit it. But I'm glad they did it in a Cardinals uniform because I don't think it would have been right had he done it in like a Angel Dodger uniform. I'm glad he did it in a Cardinal uniform. I mean, that's just me. He came up. He started his career as a Cardinal. He's going to finish as a Cardinal, and I like that he did it as a Cardinal. Kind of ironic he did at Dodger Stadium with the team that he kind of got picked up by last year after the Angels put him on waivers. So, but good for him. Again, finishes with 703 home runs, 2,218 RBIs. I mean, this year alone, he hit 24 home runs and drove in 68, so that's a pretty good season for him, especially at his age. Again, up there with Bonds, Aaron, and Ruth. I mean, he retires. His number's going to get retired by the Cardinals. 5 years from now, he'll be in the Hall of Fame. Just a great way for him to end his career, and he gets another shot at the World Series title with the Cardinals. We'll dive into that a little later. But congratulations to him. I think it's just absolutely fantastic that he got 700. I was pulling for him. I had friends, family who were pulling for him, so good for him that he got the 700.
Yeah, for sure. So he did play 10 years with the Angels. I mean, he played 11 with the Cardinals to start his career, or 10. Was it 10?
He started in 2001 to 2011 with the Cardinals.
Yeah, so that's... Go ahead.
2012 to 2021 with the Angels. Then, obviously, 2021 with the Dodgers. Then finishes up this year with the Cardinals. So, yeah, 11 years with the Cardinals.
Yeah. Long career, big accomplishment. So congrats to Albert. Sail off into the sunset over 700 home runs. It's pretty amazing. Next big accomplishment or next big milestone for this regular season. Adam, why don't you tell the folks about it?
So this happened again early in the season. Miguel Cabrera eclipsed 3,000 hits. He finishes with 3,088 hits. He is most likely going to be retiring after this season. He got to the 500 mark last year and kind of joined the exclusive 500, 3,000 hit club this year. I mean, again, Cabrera had a good career, obviously coming up with the Marlins his rookie year, winning a World Series title his first year. Then signing with the Tigers, I believe in 2008, 2009, and just having another good year with the Tigers, transitioning from third to first, and then obviously finishing as DH with his career. I mean, I don't know where else you can see a season like this where we have milestones like someone hitting 60 home runs, someone reaching 700 home runs, and 3,000 hits all in the same season. I mean, it's just... From a hitting standpoint, those are three incredible milestones that we saw this year alone.
Yeah, the only thing more impressive is if we saw 21 or 22 strikeouts from a pitcher, or somebody pitched 2 no-hitters in a season, or some of the crazy pitching milestones, because having a single season record, and then two big career long milestones reached in a single season is pretty darn impressive. 2022 was definitely a special year for milestones, whether it be career or single season, and yeah, it's been a fun season watching these guys. Aaron Judge is just absolute bet on himself. Got signed an arbitration deal. Essentially, goes into next year with being able to collect the bag. So that's going to be awesome for him. Pujols ends a phenomenal Hall of Fame career. Same thing with Cabrera. Probably won't see something like this for a minute. I mean, last year we saw like 54 freaking no hitters. So
Yeah, last year was
every
your
year
no-hitter.
brings something special to baseball.
Oh, I agree. Every year brings something different. Last year was the year of the no hitters. This year was just offense milestones that we saw this year in. I think again that'll probably be the storyline for this year. Were just the milestones that were reached. So that's how we wrap up the 2022 regular season. So, Chris, why do you say we dive into the wild card series, which will begin on Friday?
That sounds amazing.
All right,
I cannot wait. Let's dive right in.
Let's dive right in. We'll start with I'll say down here, the series of the local team. We got the Tampa Bay Rays, the 6th seed, traveling up to Cleveland to face the 3 seed Cleveland Guardians. Guardians did win the season series 4-2. Game 1, we got McClanahan versus Bieber, Glasnow versus McKenzie in Game 2. The Rays have yet to determine a Game 3 pitcher. Quantrill will be pitching for Game 3 if necessary. Interesting series in my opinion. You had the Rays, who had the best record in the American League last year. They got bounced out of the division series by the Red Sox. Guardians, they had a 7% chance at the beginning of the season just to win the AL Central, and they kind of jumped all over that. They outperformed the White Sox and Twins to get the AL Central this year. So that series will be taking place in Cleveland, and all wildcard games will either be on ESPN, ESPN2, or ABC. So check your listings for which of the Disney-owned networks those games will be on. And I believe that the first game will be on ESPN, if I remember seeing that correctly. Yeah, ESPN is a 12:07 Eastern Time Standard start time. So 1 o'clock Central. I think it's 11 o'clock Mountain Time. It's like a morning start time for you guys out there.
Yeah. I'm going to call in sick. No, I'm just kidding. How amazing is it that Tyler Glasnow is pitching now and making his essentially third start of the year in the second game of the playoffs? I mean, I know he's awesome. I'm surprised they didn't throw like Springs or somebody instead.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting that the Rays are putting him in Game 2. But I guess in a short wildcard series, you kind of want to get him in because you don't want to play that Game 3. What if we hold him to Game 3? You could possibly not get to a Game 3. So I will think, though, when he goes on Game 2, they are going to be watching his pitches. I think he will be on a pitch count for Game 2. I cannot confirm that he will be, but I would assume that he would be limited to maybe just a couple innings of work. The Rays are known for using their bullpen like crazy. You get into the playoffs, teams follow that. They use their bullpens like crazy. Pitchers only go four innings max, and then you start seeing bullpens within the 5th, 6th inning.
So he averaged 3.1 innings pitched in his first 2 starts. Only gave up 1 earned run. Had a K rate above 13.5. So he's still got it. He's only 28 years old, obviously, but I think that's going to be super interesting and makes this, like, if Glasnow pitches well, the Rays are taking this series in 2, and it's just going to be, I mean, McClanahan, Bieber's great. McClanahan's phenomenal. And Tyler Glasnow, if he's pitching well, they're gonna mow through Cleveland, in my opinion.
Yes. So with that, Chris, give us your pick for the Rays Guardians series. Who do you got coming out of the series?
Rays, for
Rays.
sure.
You got them are you calling it in 2 games or 3 games?
Yeah, give me the sweep.
All right. I will also go with you. I will go Rays, but I'm going to give them a 2-1 series win. I think this series does go 3. Just because, again, good as McClanahan has been, I'm still a little nervous of him going on. You said it's his 3rd start?
No, that's Glasnow's going on his 3rd start.
Glasnow?
McClanahan's been the
Glasnow.
Cy Young candidate.
Glasnow on his 3rd start. A little iffy for me, but again, if he starts the game and he gets off to a good start in the game, I think the Rays can get into. So I will go with you, but I'll take the Rays in a full 3-game series.
Yeah, so my thing with like I think McClanahan probably helps save that bullpen, and then the Rays will have their full bullpen ready to back Glasnow up. That's my thought process there.
I like it. All right, our last AL wildcard series, Chris. We got the Seattle Mariners at Toronto Blue Jays. Mariners did win the series 5-2. Castillo will be going in Game 1 for the Mariners against Manoah. And then, obviously, they have yet to determine for both teams Game 2 and Game 3 pitchers. This series will be in Toronto, so the dome will be intact. Most likely the roof will be open in Toronto, obviously for aerial coverage, but I'm not sure if that's been fully announced yet, if the Sky Dome will be open or closed for this series.
Aerial coverage. I can't believe that's still a thing. Do you know how many blimps there are? There's only 13 blimps in the world.
I know, and
or of these big companies. They probably just cover them with drones now.
or Skycam. Oh, we got NFL where you got those cameras on zip wires. They go back and forth.
Oh yeah. Well, you said aerial cover. You don't have to have Skycam with the roof open. You can have the roof closed with Skycam. Okay.
True.
I was confused. I thought there was just some other way to float a camera that I was not told about.
Drones would be cool. I would love to see drones.
Oh, I'd love more drone coverage. It'd be super cool.
Yeah. So I like this series. I think this series goes the full 3 games just because I think these teams are kind of both itching. They both fell short last year. Now they get in this year. I think they're both itching just to kind of see how far they can go. I'm just trying to think who to pick. I think for me, this is a tough one to pick on who's going to win. I'll take the Mariners 2-1.
So it really is going to matter who they're going to throw. I mean, it probably doesn't. And the Mariners have a good rotation. I want to take Toronto, but I think the Mariners might win this series. I think Toronto being at home is going to play a factor. I mean, and if Gossman is Gossman healthy? Is he going Game 2? So it's going to be a really good series. This is easily the best series in the American League this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck. And the Mariners beat them 5-2. Goodness gracious. I wonder where so that's 7 games. Where was the 4-game set? If the 4-game set was in Seattle, then that's going to
I'll look that up real quick.
I'll just go with Toronto just to be contrarian against you.
I like it.
Because what fun is it to agree on everything?
Very true. Yeah, that actually the 4-game series was in Seattle, and the Mariners swept them in Seattle.
That's right. I remember that. We talked about that because I think the Blue Jays were playing pretty well, and I thought it was going to be a better series, and they just straight kicked them in the shin.
Yeah,
the Mariners did that to a lot of teams this year in Seattle, except the stupid Braves.
Yeah.
They
So
only took one out of anyway. Go ahead.
So you got Blue Jays. I'm just recapping. So you got Blue Jays 2-1, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
2-1.
Sure.
They're not going to sweep them.
No. All right. So that's a recap of the AL wildcard. We both have the Rays getting out of Cleveland. I'm picking Seattle. You're picking Toronto. So we'll see how those series kick off again. Those series begin on Friday. The Rays and Guardians will kick off at 12:07 Eastern Time. Mariners, Blue Jays will kick off at 4:07 Eastern Time. Both games will be on ESPN on Friday. Let's flip to the National League, Chris, and let's start with the Phillies at Cardinals. Phillies have announced the full 3-game starter: Wheeler, Noah, Suarez to go for games 1, 2, and 3. Cardinals have yet to announce their pitching rotation. Obviously, Cardinals are the division winner, so this game will be in St. Louis. Philly is playing their first postseason series since 2011. I want to lean more to St. Louis on this series, but I'm just not 100% sure.
Well, I'm going Cardinals 2-1.
So going Cardinals 2-1?
If you wanted to be different, that's your easy out.
I mean, I like how the Phillies played this year. I think they did play, I won't say good baseball. They did have some downturns towards the season. They weren't a consistent team this year. Obviously, firing Joe Girardi at the beginning of the season was just a little bit of a shell shock for everyone. And then to obviously come back and clinch the playoff spot after firing your manager. But the Cardinals, I think the Cardinals have a better pitching staff. They have a better offense. I'll go Cardinals too, but I'll go Cardinals in a sweep. I'm going to give Cardinals a sweep.
Cardinals in the 2-0 sweep city. I mean, so how does the home away? It's all in St. Louis, right?
There are no. So all wildcard games are in the home stadium. There's no travel day to another location. It's just like it was in 2020 when they had the wildcard series for the 16-team playoff format. If you're in one city, you're in that series for the entire series. So you're going to be playing 3 straight games in St. Louis, in Toronto, in Cleveland, in New York. So unfortunately, if you're on the road, you may not get to see your team play a home playoff game this year.
Yeah, but that's okay. Oh, is your wife chiming in saying that she's not going to get to see the Rays play at Tropicana?
I think that we'll hopefully get a chance to maybe get some tickets for Trop.
You'll get a chance. We got Shane McClanahan and Tyler Glass now going, bro. It's going to be 2-0.
Absolutely.
Mets sweep 2-0. Let's go.
Oh, all right. We're going to jump right into that one. Mets.
Well, we're not. You want to sit up here and post up about the fucking this is the Phillies and Cardinals are the worst series of the playoffs this weekend by far. Like I'd rather watch paint dry.
I mean, just paint a wall and watch it dry. That's like watching that.
I have a spot I can put the paint that'll actually be beneficial to my home.
There you go.
I'll go watch that dry instead of the Phillies and Cardinals. I should do that this weekend, but
there you go. So. But let's, Chris, dive in since you want to dive head first in this. Give me your dive experts on the Mets Padres, which will be at Citi Field, so it will be a home series for the Mets.
Citi Field's going to be absolutely electric. They're going to throw Scherzer game 1. I know it says TBD, but that's who's throwing game 1. And then Chris Bassett's going to throw game 2. Jake DeGrom, if necessary, will throw game 3. Mets are trying to posture for DeGrom to throw game 1 of the Dodgers series, assuming that they can make it that far. Darvish pitches very well against the Mets, so we'll see how that goes. Scherzer, though, when you get a player like Max Scherzer on your team and you watch them all year long, you see what a massive difference he makes. And I'm not just talking about like on the mound. He's essentially another pitching coach for all the other pitchers in the dugout, in the bullpen. He, teaches strategy. He talks pitch type, pitch style, how to get, how to go longer. He knows his body really well. He had a couple injuries this year. He's 38 years old and is still, been able to battle through a couple of tough oblique injuries this year. So I believe he'll come through here for the Mets on Saturday. So I think like the Padres, man, for all the talent they have, something's in the water out there.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I am leaning towards New York in this series as well, just because I think New York has the better pitching staff going in. I think they have a better offense going in. So I'm gonna agree with this way. Agree with you on this one. I'll take the Mets in a sweep as well, just because I think that overall they're just the better team. They have the better rounded team. They have a better pitching staff from top to bottom. The Mets bullpen's good. Padres bullpen's a little jumpy for me. I don't trust that bullpen with the lead. I'd rather, if the Padres want to get a convincing win, they just need to pounce on the offense early and just score a lot of runs early, just to kind of help that bullpen get through the later innings. But I think the Mets are better suited for this series, in my opinion.
I hope they just walk Juan Soto like nonstop. Just don't even let him hit the ball, because he's a good playoff player.
He is. So I mean, he's had some good success with Washington in the playoffs. Obviously, 2019 with the World Series. He had a good postseason that year. So, all right. So recapping, we both have the Cardinals getting out of the series with the Phillies, and we're both taking the Mets sweeping the Padres. So we did put out a poll on our Twitter page on who you think would win each wildcard series. So visit our Twitter page, vote on your team. That poll will end tomorrow, and we will see what the fans think. Let's actually give a little update on who the fans are thinking.
Like we should.
I'll pull that up real quick. So, all right. As of right now, 88% of everyone's saying that the Rays will beat the Guardians. This one's the closest one. 57% are saying the Mariners will defeat the Blue Jays.
Nice.
57% for the Cardinals as well. And 55% say the Padres are going to beat the Mets.
All right. I'll remember all of you.
I like that. So again, just go out to our page, vote. We'll send out another reminder tomorrow to vote on our Twitter page. But Chris, any last minute thoughts on the regular season? If you had to give one of your favorite moments from the regular season, what would it be?
Man, Judge's home run was so anticlimactic because it took so long to happen. I think Pujols hitting 700 was pretty amazing just because of the streak he put on at the end. I always enjoy the home run derby. That was a lot of fun this year. Julio Rodriguez put on a show. Yeah, I'd probably say Pujols was my biggest memory from this year.
That was a big moment. I'll actually go what happened in Oakland. Stephen Vogt, who's actually retiring season, his final at bat, he hits a home run for Oakland. I mean, you just can't end a career like that. I mean, you can't be something like your last at bat's a homer in your home park. I mean, if you saw the video, he's just on cloud nine, running the bases. His entire team's out cheering for him. I mean,
he's a great story. He started his career in Oakland, and then he's been in the league for something like 18 years or whatever. It took him a minute to get up to Oakland. I was watching an Oakland game, and they were talking about him and like what a fan favorite he has, and like there's some saying that goes around his name.
I think I know what you're talking about, but I just can't for the life of me remember what it is. But that's one for me. Obviously, Pujols getting 700, I think is great. I'll agree with you on Aaron Judge. His getting to 62 was a little anticlimactic just because of how long it took him. He just had this tremendous run where he was sitting at 40 home runs by the end of the All-Star break or close to that. And he did kind of cool off, but he was able to get 62. I mean, one thing I will say, Mike Trout got the 40 home runs this year. After an injury season last year, he hits 40 home runs this year. He has 350 career, so he's only 150
That's
away
incredible.
from.
That must be the quietest 40 home run season I've heard in like forever.
I think it is, and if he stays healthy enough, he could be your next 500 home run club member if he were to stay healthy and have productive seasons like this.
He's got to be in his 30s, right?
I think he is in his 30s. I think early
30s. 250, and there's no way. I don't see it. But here, hey, I'm just gonna say that for the benefit of Mike Trout, because I said it for Pujols and he went ahead and did it. So you're welcome. You can come to New York anytime you want. You can be a Met.
There you go.
So the Stephen Vaught thing is when he came up, he went through like a super drought. That's what it was. Like he was like 0 for his first 18. Not it took a while for him to get to the big leagues. He was like 0 for 18 when he got up. And after he got his first hit, they were interviewing him and they asked him a question or something like that. And he said, "I believe in Stephen Vaught." And that was so that's the quote. And so now fans have this banner for him out and right.
Yeah, I believe.
Says, "I believe." Yeah. So
now you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool career. That's a good memory there, Mr. Kunos. All right, folks. Well, that'll do it tonight, October 5th for the Bullpen Podcast. Go on to our Twitter page, vote for who you think is going to win each of the playoff series this weekend. Adam and I are both looking forward to it. But for tonight, have a good one. We'll talk to you next week.
Have a good night, everyone.